Today's episode, we're diving into a more crucial topic than ever for small businesses, which is cybersecurity and compliance as growth enablers.
Cybersecurity can seem a daunting and overwhelming task for organizations. What we like to do is simplify it for organizations with limited budgets, such as small businesses.
Listeners, cybersecurity doesn't have to be intimidating. It starts with knowing your needs and finding the right support.
Financial documents, photos, those are all what would be considered crown jewels in your home. And then you want to think to yourself, I want to protect these crown jewels. So maybe you get things like fireproof safes. You back up your digital photos to the cloud so that those are protected in case you spill coffee on your laptop. Everything in your house that you find important, you want to protect. That's no different than it would be for a small business.
Listeners, investing in cybersecurity isn't just about protection. It's really about the commitment to your customers, your employees, and future growth. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast, where we celebrate innovation, resilience, and the entrepreneurial spirit driving Canada's small business community. I'm your host, Maheen, and in today's episode, we're diving into a more crucial topic than ever for small businesses, which is cybersecurity and compliance as growth enablers. Joining us is Andrew Janusas, the Director of Cybersecurity and GRC at Elastify's security practice. With over 20 years of experience in IT risk and security consulting, Andrew has advised organizations across industries, including telecommunications, healthcare, and financial services. And his expertise ranges from cybersecurity strategies to regulatory compliance, making him a sought-after thought leader. So tune in as we uncover actionable insights for small businesses looking to strengthen their IT security posture and navigate compliance challenges. Without further ado, let's welcome our guest. Andrew, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
Doing great, and thanks for having me.
Very pleased to have you with us. Now, Andrew, to begin our discussion, let's discuss how do we find a right cybersecurity partner, because cybersecurity it can feel like a lot of work, especially for small businesses without dedicated teams or resources, and finding that right partner to help navigate these challenges is often the first step. So Andrew, what advice would you give small business owners who don't know where to start when looking for a cybersecurity partner?
Now, that's a great question, and cybersecurity can seem a daunting and overwhelming task for organizations. What we like to do is simplify it for organizations with limited budgets, such as small businesses, by identifying the crown jewels. Have you heard that term before?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, for those of you that have not heard the term before, it's your most critical assets and most critical information in your organization, your services as well. If you think of crown jewels in the context of your home, you think what are my most valuable possessions in your home? Things like your memorabilia, your sports, your will, your documents. I know my kids created some great crafts. They love playing with Play-Doh, this fabulous Play-Doh creations, financial documents, photos. Those are all what would be considered crown jewels in your home. And then you want to think to yourself, I want to protect these crown jewels. So maybe you get things like fireproof safes. You back up your digital photos to the cloud so that those are protected in case you spill coffee on your laptop. Everything in your house that you find important, you want to protect. That's no different than it would be for a small business. You want to identify those crown jewels in your small business. And to do that, you can use a cybersecurity partner to help you with that, or you can do it yourself. But you want to identify your crown jewels, which could be things like customer information, health information, employee information, intellectual property, some of your services, critical services, your products, recipes, all these sort of things you want to identify as your crown jewels. And then you want to identify or understand the risks associated with those crown jewels. So what's the risk if that was to get into the wrong hands? From there, what protections do we have in place around those crown jewels? Maybe you have some, maybe you don't. You want to understand them first, then you'd implement those protections. And that's how you essentially build out a cybersecurity program. The next phase of the whole process, once you identify those crown jewels and then implement protections, you want to look at your protections from a few different ways: people, processes, and your technology to protect these assets. With a limited budget, you have to prioritize, obviously, for small businesses. And a cybersecurity partner can help you with that, to prioritize and give you that roadmap to implement protection mechanisms.
Mm-hmm. That's incredibly insightful, Andrew. And then the idea of starting with the basics and seeking tailored solutions, it seems practical yet very empowering for smaller organizations. Now, if you were to build onto this a bit more, can you please share like an example of a business that successfully navigated this journey and what stood out about their approach to you?
Yeah, I've got a couple examples around this. One not-for-profit organization we work with, they had a limited budget. They wanted to understand where they were from a cybersecurity standpoint. So we start from the beginning. We help them understand what their crown jewels are. And then from there, we would look at the people, processes, and technologies they have in place. We're not going to tell them they need to create a bunch of documents to make sure they're secure. We're going to give them practical approach to cybersecurity. So maybe we can protect those assets and focus just on those assets and not protect the whole organization. Focus on what's important to them, and then give them a roadmap on here is the strategic approach to protecting these assets. And like I mentioned earlier, from a people, process, and technology perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Another organization that we work with, they were a little more mature, so they did have a lot of processes in place from a security standpoint,
Right.
but they needed to mature some of the processes around things like incident response. So planning if you were to be under attack. They had a plan, but they wanted us to take a look at that plan and give them recommendations, and they didn't test the plan. So it's very important when it comes to cybersecurity is being prepared with a plan, but also testing your plan so that you're ready if an event were to occur. So we help them facilitate testing the incident response plan through what's called a tabletop exercise. So we sat around the room with all their leadership and their teams, and then present them with a cybersecurity scenario, like they're under attack, and what would they do? And we all had a big discussion, and then understood the strengths and the weaknesses from that exercise.
That is amazing. And from what we understand is that finding the right partner is more than just a technical decision. It's really about fostering trust and collaboration, as you explained. Listeners, cybersecurity doesn't have to be intimidating. It starts with knowing your needs and finding the right support. Now, Andrew, we'll explore how small businesses can proactively address IT security challenges, because small businesses, they often feel overshadowed by larger organizations when it comes to IT security. Yet they are just as vulnerable, if not more so, to the cyber threats that are out there. What are some of the common cybersecurity threats that are faced by small businesses, and how can they protect themselves effectively?
Yeah, as you mentioned, small businesses are they're still being attacked by cyber attacks as well as the large businesses. The common threats that we're seeing out there is data breaches, so getting unauthorized access to their systems and stealing customer information, employee information, or maybe intellectual property. We're also seeing things like social engineering, so tricking their personnel into clicking on a link, and then next thing they've taken control of your systems. Ransomware would be another common, where attackers would lock down all the systems so they can't access their environment. Common things to protect against these sort of scenarios, for example, ransomware. If we use that one, you want to make sure your data is backed up and it's separate from your actual environment. So it's a bit of a separate location so you can recover. And then you want to have a plan in place to make sure that you know how to respond if a ransomware attack was to occur, whether or not you want to pay or not pay the ransom. Those are all things that you need to understand, whether or not you have insurance in place.
Mm-hmm.
Data breaches. So going back to that crown jewels, so knowing where your data is and then understanding, okay, it needs to be protected, encrypted, and then limited access to that data. So
Right.
And finally, the social engineering piece. So it's very important to train your employees on what they should be doing and not be doing when it comes to using the company's assets. In the case of social engineering, there's a lot of different mechanisms to do that. You've probably seen emails of phishing attacks or text messages or voicemails or phone calls. All those are different ways of tricking employees into doing something they shouldn't be doing, wiring money or providing confidential information.
Now, Andrew, those were some eye-opening examples, and it's clear that even small, proactive measures can make a big difference in warding off those potential threats. And interestingly, cyber attacks, they target about 43% of small businesses in Canada, yet only 14% they are adequately prepared to even defend themselves, which is crazy. With this in mind, Andrew, how can small businesses create a culture of cybersecurity awareness amongst their teams?
To revisit the analogy from our early part of the discussion around your home, think about your kids using social media, the internet, YouTube. We want to make sure we're educating them on how to use these things safely. It's no different than your business. So in business, your employees can be, you often hear the term, they can be your weakest link, but also they can be your strongest link. So educating your employees on the do's and don'ts when it comes to cybersecurity, so they understand the risks, they know what to look for. So if they see a phishing email come through, they'll know this does not look real, or they question it. So they have a risk mindset. What we recommend is to have regular security awareness training. You can use tools for it. You can have regular campaigns, so sending notifications out to your employees saying, look out for this type of email. We're seeing a lot of this. Best practices. Companies should provide awareness when employees get onboarded within the organization, and then have regular training. In addition, they should have simulated phishing emails getting sent out to test employees on how well they can detect that it's a phishing attack. And then if someone were to click on one of these simulations, you'd want to educate them further to say, I notice you clicked on this email, maybe you need some additional training, and then provide them with that training. Another important part of creating a culture of awareness is regularly testing your plans. So making sure that you're ready in the event there is a cyber attack or some sort of a disruption. Having a plan and then regularly testing a plan will create that security awareness culture within your organization. And finally, I want to add, you need leadership buy-in on this. So if leadership's not supportive of this awareness training, then maybe it's not going to be successful. So leadership needs to have buy-in and make sure that you've created that culture of cybersecurity within your organization.
That's amazing. I mean, you're right. Building a strong security foundation, it begins with awareness and consistent effort. Listeners, investing in cybersecurity isn't just about protection. It's really about the commitment to your customers, your employees, and future growth. Up next, we'll explore how compliance can serve as a strategic growth driver for scaling businesses, because while compliance is often viewed as a regulatory hurdle, it can actually serve as a catalyst for trust and growth in today's competitive market. Andrew, how can small businesses leverage security and compliance to drive growth and build credibility with their stakeholders?
So what you're asking here is whether it's a good return on investment for companies to invest in compliance and cybersecurity. And that is a fair question, especially when we're talking about small businesses with relatively limited budget. Generally speaking, it's advantageous for a business to invest in compliance and security, to have appropriate safeguards in place to protect customer information, the services, their assets. Customers expect it, and they trust you with their information, and same with your employees. More and more, we're seeing suppliers, customers looking for you to comply with contractual obligations and laws and regulations to do business with them. The risk of not doing it could be you lose actual or potential business, which is definitely not something you want to be doing. So it is very advantageous to make sure that those assets, the information, is protected, and you have trust amongst your partners and customers.
No, Andrew, you're right. I mean, it's so fascinating to see how compliance, it can transition from a challenge to an opportunity for businesses. Stick with us, listeners. We're about to discuss actionable strategies to bolster your business's security posture.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep, healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah, well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep, that's all us. That's all UPS.
Four billion people check their email every day. That's 4 billion missed opportunities if your message doesn't make it. To reach your customer's inbox, you need a winning strategy. And Constant Contact delivers. Literally, over 97% deliverability. Elevate your email game with easy-to-use templates, writing assistants powered by AI, and in-depth metrics. Ensuring your email is flawless, delivered, and read. Constant Contact delivers. Give it a try.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, we're in the business of you.
We're here to help you plug in,
connect and recharge,
make an impression,
and meet with confidence.
With 19 brands built for business,
your business gets even more rewarding.
With an award-winning loyalty program at 6,000 IHG hotels and resorts worldwide.
Welcome back. Let's now explore tangible ways your business can stay ahead of evolving cybersecurity threats. Now, what tools or frameworks would you recommend for small businesses that are looking to simplify their entire compliance journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know for many small businesses, it can feel overwhelming to pick the tools, the right framework or software to help manage their compliance and cybersecurity. There's a lot on the market. There's a lot of best practices out there. There is some very overwhelming frameworks out there and standards that can be leveraged, and there's some smaller ones. We recommend using one that's tailor-fit to the organization. There's a lot of guidance from the Canadian Centre of Cybersecurity. What we try to do is provide them with a framework that's fit for purpose, prioritizes those crown jewels, and then implements the protection mechanisms around those. So with that in mind, the frameworks we would use are best in class, but they're tailor-made to small business. You're not going to want to implement, roll out hundreds of policies. You're going to look at the minimum level of safeguards and protections to put in place to ensure that your assets are protected and that you can have confidence and trust in building out this program and then providing that trust to your customers.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I mean, compliance isn't just about meeting the requirements. It's really about creating trust and unlocking that potential. Listeners, no business is too small to prioritize security. Remember that every proactive step you take today safeguards your business tomorrow. For our final topic, Andrew, we'll discuss the role of trusted partnerships in navigating IT complexities. Because navigating IT complexities, it often calls for a partner that understands your unique needs and offers flexibility without really compromising on that quality element. Andrew, how does Elastify's approach stand out in providing tailored IT security and compliance solutions for businesses, especially the small businesses?
At the end of the day, our core mission at Elastify is simplify the experience for our clients. We have a team of pros. We know one size doesn't fit all, and we want to simplify it for our clients. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that we're getting the right expertise in there with a lot of years' experience, but at a lower price than you get at some of the larger consulting firms. We really care about our clients, and we act as a true trusted partner. Really helpful when we provide them with practical and supportive solutions throughout the process of helping them with their cybersecurity and compliance journey.
No, Andrew, you're absolutely right. I mean, tailored solutions and trusted partnerships can make all the difference. And it's a reminder to our audience as well that help is always available to take your business to the next level. Andrew, if there's one takeaway as we are wrapping up, if there's one takeaway that you'd like small business owners to remember about cybersecurity and compliance, what would it be?
The theme has been brought up a lot during this discussion, but know your crown jewels.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't need to be complicated. Often simple is best. Ultimately, being proactive and prepared should the cyber attack occur will save you a lot of time and resources in the long run.
Right. Thank you so much, Andrew, for your time and for sharing such actionable insights for our audience today. Thank you.
I really appreciate you having me today.
And that wraps up today's episode of the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. A big thank you to Andrew Janusas for his valuable insights on cybersecurity and compliance. We'd also like to extend our gratitude to our sponsors, RBC, UPS, Constant Contact, and IAG, and Google for their unwavering support. To our listeners, please remember that cybersecurity isn't just a technical necessity, it's a strategic advantage. Please subscribe to our podcast and visit CanadianSME.ca for more resources tailored to Canada's small business community. Again, please stay tuned for more inspiring stories and practical advice. Until next time, stay innovative and keep driving your business forward.